Hey everyone, welcome to this week's transformation reading where we've been taking a card from this deck that I'm working on with the creator, and we're just taking one of the emotions here and seeing what the creator would like us to learn about this week in transforming from an uncomfortable emotion of fear into one of unconditional love and peace and joy and laughter, which is our natural state. So we're going to jump in here and just see. I've been taking them out as we've been going, so sooner or later we're going to get down to nothing, and then we'll move on to another stack, because there's 7 stacks in this deck, which is we'll be introducing that sometime in the future, I'm sure. So creator, what would you like us to look into transforming this week, or learn more about transforming this week? Okay, so this will be the one for this week, and we've got anger. And this of course is one of our big fight or flight reactions. And this, of course, is the fight, because normally if we are fleeing, we're not on fire. At least our head and mouth isn't going, unless we're screaming as we're running away from whatever is igniting the fear within us and making us feel unsafe. And I love what the creator gives us to transform that, and that is breathe. So what's amazing about our human bodies, they are designed to keep us safe and to keep us alive. So when we go into fight or flight mode, it is generally because our emotional side of our left brain is telling us, I feel unsafe, I feel in danger, this is not normal, I don't feel comfortable. So alarm, alarm, alarm goes off in our brain, and then our reactionary side of our left side brain will say, how do I get out of this? I'm either going to it'll either ignite immediately to run based on our instinct, or attack, and this of course is the attacking side of all that. And one thing that helps transforming this is the understanding that when we go into fight or flight mode, blood actually rushes from our brain to go to our muscles to either fight or run, right? So all that blood rushing out of our brain actually has this, it puts our brain on pause and allows our reactionary triggers to go. And so we don't act out of logic a lot of times in our when we're in that fear mode, because our brain is literally shutting down a lot of systems, and we're literally, I always say, we're out of our minds. And that makes so much sense. I mean, when you look at especially these last couple of years, when we're acting in fear, we act like we're out of our minds. We go into attacking things, we withdraw and run away from things. And when you look at all of that, it's like, oh, okay, because you probably have experienced someone in your life at some point, if not yourself. Usually we don't see it so much in ourselves because we're always comparing ourselves out here, but you might see that in yourself too, where I'm usually a very calm, cool, collective, type of person, or they are, but there's the one situation where they just flip out, in our minds. We're like, oh my God, they're acting crazy. They're acting out of their minds. And you find out later there's a trigger in them for that particular thing. Something in their life at some point taught them that's dangerous, that's unsafe, and don't do that. Or it's a brand new situation they've never dealt with before. And so our animal side of our, human brain, the protector, goes, oh, wait a minute, this is not ordinary, this is unexpected, protection, whoop, 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 shields go up, and either the battle ensues, or you see their back as they're running away, or they become silent. Part of the fleeing is freeze, because usually our response with fight or flight is fight or flight or freeze. And freezing is a way of fleeing too, because when you freeze, it's like nobody's home. You're like knocking on their forehead and they're gone. And that's because they've escaped out of this reality and become numb and shut down. And so understanding all of that, helps us look at anger and not take other people's anger so personally, because their anger is out of fear. And the thing that I can do when someone's in anger is, how can I help them become safe? It's something I learned when I used to take escalated calls during, in my previous job. You realize that if you just try to answer what their questions are and their agitation is, and they're fighting, you're going to get nowhere except for an escalated battle. When you understand, first of all, that you need to help them feel safe, you need to help them feel, calmer, and then you can communicate, because until their brain is filled again back with blood and back to where they're themselves, you're just going to be getting this, defensive individual. So that happens, to every human being. It's part of how we're made to keep us alive and safe. Just the unsafe things have become so much more than real physical danger things, like, running face to face with a bear or a saber-toothed tiger or a dinosaur, or someone, that has a weapon to kill you for your meat and your sustenance because they're starving. It's so much more beyond that. We have a lot of emotional monsters now that trigger us. It's all about our lovability, and we fear that if all these things we've been told don't get met, we're unlovable, and we're going to get rejected and ostracized from our tribe and die alone in the wilderness, dying of hunger, because that's what our fear is, right? Our base fear. I'm going to die alone in the wilderness because no one loves me. And when we question it, of course, it becomes silly, because we're like, no, that would never happen, to us. There's surely, out of the billions of people on the planet, at least one other person that feels the same way as I do, and will, not throw me out and give me a piece of bread or something, So we realize, our fears as we question them. Now, all that to tell you about breathe. So breathing, taking a deep breath and holding it for a couple seconds, and just repeating that throughout while this anger is burning up, helps quench that anger. It helps calm our bodies. All that adrenaline that's flowing through our system, when we flood our system with that oxygen and forcing our body to slow down, we take ourselves out of the fight or flight to where we get back into our own minds, and we're not acting out of our minds. So we can do that for others too. If someone's like, rah, 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 and you're like, oh my God, I know there's so much going on here. Let's take some deep breaths. Let's just calm, not say calm down, because that usually throws fuel on the fire. It's like, let's just take a couple breaths here and let's see what's going on, and then when you do and you get to this place, then it's like, oh, okay. Sometimes it depends on the individual. I use humor. Sometimes I'll say, oh my God, what's going on? And it distracts them so much from what is, causing this cycle of fear just to explode. It allows them to laugh, and then they breathe, and then we calm down, and then we're like, wow, it feels so stupid that I was, being so dramatic and, going overboard with that. It's like, no, we're feeling unsafe. And that's what you can look at is, why were you feeling unsafe? What were you trying to control? What were you fearing? one of my friends early in my life, I was just, expressing this emotion because I was so upset about a situation, and he just said, "Can we stop the drama train? I think we're going to derail." And I was like, what? It just totally was a slap in the face, like the movie Airplane. I don't know if you've ever seen that, where people start getting in line to slap them to snap them out of it. And it's like, oh wow, I didn't even realize that I had gone so extreme until he said that, and it brought me back to the moment, to the reality, and I just laughed. And to this day, whenever I feel that, all this, any anxiety or stuff come up, I hear hoot hoot, the drama train about to derail, and it makes me chuckle and brings me back to this moment. But breathing is such an important piece to take us out of that cycle. I was reading a book, I think it's called Full Brain Living, and it's Dr. Jill, and I'm so sorry I forget her last name, but it's a wonderful book that I'm reading right now, and it does talk about the different places of our brain and how our brain jumps into fight or flight, and how we can come to this place where we can balance all of that. And she talks about a 90-second cycle, that when we have an emotion that makes us feel unsafe, we have 90 seconds when our emotion, our system goes whoop, 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 and it goes back down. And we have 90 seconds where that emotion just kind of runs its course. And if we breathe during it and we realize it and recognize it, then we can not go back into it. But if we stay in the cycle, that's when it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and we stay in that fear mode. So breathing, such an important piece of our journey. And so when you are feeling anger, you can use that as a signal. When you start to feel it rise up, to take some deep breaths and come back to now. Just keep breathing until you feel your heart go back to its normal beating. And you can find unconditional love, peace, joy, and even laughter. So enjoy this journey that you have this week, and just know every second of every day you are unconditionally loved by the Creator of all things. And I love you too. We'll talk to you soon. You take care.